Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith.
Yo, wow. Never, ever say something about another man's wife. That will happen to you. Don't. Hey, welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. It's the sports edition with my main man, Antoine, real Stewart. What's up, Stu?
What's going on, Mo? How you doing?
Everything's good. And my main man, my nephew from way down in Port St. Lucie, Florida, Caleb Lopes. What's up, Caleb?
Nothing much. Excited to talk about all the action going around in the NFL world.
That's right. And don't ever talk about another man's wife. I'll tell you right now. Funny Smith and so forth. Let that be a lesson. And don't ever name your team the Washington Commanders, or that will also happen as well. So anyway, we are here. A lot of things are going on in the NFL right now. There's no doubt about that. No question about it. The biggest thing that has happened is Tyreke Hill going to the Miami Dolphins, which was really, really weird. And that brings on some questions that I have. But first of all, what do you think about Tyreke going to Miami, Stu?
He made the best decision for him financially.
Okay.
You know, it was one of those things where, of course, I believe staying where he was gives him the best shot at, winning another ring. But he felt like this is his contract as a receiver where he can pass up on his offer. And the Chiefs, they couldn't afford to pay him what he deserved because of, Patrick Mahomes' contract. So he made the best move for him and his family from a financial standpoint and got that contract.
Yeah, he did. Caleb, what do you think about it, bro?
The Dolphins definitely got something out of it. Now that they have that duo, Tyreke Hill and Justin Waddle, they're going to be a pretty decent threat. So,
well, they should be a very, very difficult team adding him. Let's look at a little bit of commentary from my main man, Tyreke Hill, just signed a few days ago to the Miami Dolphins. Now, let's just check out a few commentary.
Let me give a shout out,
comments.
man, to Brett Veach, Andy Reid, for just doing this, man, for myself. Understanding the circumstances there in KC, and to the guys here, Coach McDaniels, Chris Greer, and even the owner, Mr. Ross. So I'm super excited, man. I believe my family is like more excited than me.
It's getting paid enough money, so that'd be pretty exciting.
They're already looking at property, so everybody's ready, man.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at property everywhere
for the city of Miami.
Oh yeah.
With the Miami Herald, what about Miami was just so, I guess, enticing and interesting to you to make
the money, the water,
this is where I train
the
at
sun.
in the off season, believe that or not, and then
the
plus
beach.
this is
Oh my bad. Look, go ahead,
greatest
Tyreke.
agent of all time, both of them, the twins, are here. So
Yes,
I had
sir.
to come. I had to come back, man. Come home. I got family here. I got relatives here. So I'm always here, man. So why not Miami?
Why not Miami? Hey, why not Miami? Well, you can make that kind of money. I say, why not? Why not? The
Most
question
definitely.
I have for you guys is, and we talked about this the other day, Stu. Tyreke Hill. All of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs bring in Juju Smith, and they bring in Marcus Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay, and all of a sudden they think that they can fix the problem. My question is, do systems and great quarterbacks make great wide receivers, or are great wide receivers just great at what they do?
It's definitely a two-way street.
Okay.
In the NFL, it's not like NBA. You can't
Right.
be the point guard, bring the ball down the court, create your own shot, and make the shot. As a receiver, you depend on your quarterback. As a quarterback, you depend on your receivers to get open. So
Okay.
I think they definitely benefit on the Tyreke had benefited from playing with a great quarterback as Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes benefited from playing with a guy he could just throw it up to, and he got everybody beat by 5 yards. And he don't have to throw in as many tight windows as he would have with other receivers. So I think it's basically an even thing where they both benefited off of each other.
Caleb, what do you think, buddy?
I think that a system and a very good QB is what makes a great wide receiver. Because
Yeah.
I like if you're a wide receiver in the NFL, you're already really good. So just adding that great QB there will make you even better. So I mean, like, I think the wide receivers rely more on the QB than the QB actually relies on the wide receiver.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I like your response, Caleb. I think it's quite astute. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Maurice Brown Show Sports Edition with Antoine Real Stewart, sports enthusiast, and my nephew, football player. His Little League team just made it to their championship game this past year. Caleb Lopes, 12 years old, down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Here's the deal. I believe that for the most part, 80 to 85% of the time, it's a great system and a great quarterback that makes a great wide receiver. And the reason we're talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, in lieu or in light of the fact that Tyreke Hill has been shipped off to Miami, the Chiefs believing they can just simply put in another receiver with speed and continue to win. I happen to agree with that. I think Andy Reid is a guru. I think Patrick Mahomes is probably, arguably, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, if not top 2, and could be on his way to being one of the best to ever play the game. That remains to be seen. But what I'm saying is Tyreke Hill was a direct beneficiary of the great system and the great quarterback. And I tell you what, how do you think he's going to like David Tua, whatever his name is? Okay, I don't think he's going to get the same results with Tua, and who I think they also picked up. My gosh, they picked up who did they pick up from the New Orleans Saints? The Miami Dolphins. Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, so I don't think that they're going to get the same production out of Tyreke Hill in Miami that they did when he was in Kansas City. Now that remains to be seen. But I think Tyreke Hill took the money. I get it. It's a lot of fun and sun going on down in Miami. But look at Joe Montana. Look at Jerry Rice. Here's one for you. Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Probably one of the best hookups in the history of the NFL, right? But who designed the West Coast offense? The West Coast offense is a standard in the NFL because of the genius of Bill Walsh in 1980. And he won 2 Super Bowls, check that, 4 Super Bowls with Joe Montana and 1 with Steve Young, both first ballot Hall of Famers. Do you think Jerry Rice was a product of the system or just a great wide receiver all by himself?
Again, I don't think it's one or the other, because Rice is Rice. He put in the work, he got the separation, but he also benefited from a great system and a Hall of Famer quarterback. You can put a decent wide receiver in that situation and he can get by, but he's not going to put up the Jerry Rice numbers. Jerry Rice is who he is, and Joe Cool and Steve Young are who they were. And I think it's a combination of the system, having those guys in place to do, to perform at that level. So I think they all benefited from each other. Those are 3 great players as far as Steve Young, Joe Montana, and Jerry Rice. And I think that, they needed that. Jerry Rice needed that point guard to get him that rock, and then he did what he did after the catch. And that's another thing with Tyreke. He's great after the catch. So, having those great attributes on both sides of the field is kind of like a perfect marriage.
So, Caleb, what's your opinion of that? And I know you're kind of young and you don't remember Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jerry Rice. So I won't try to have you answer that question. I think that's too much of a challenge for you to respond to. However, do you think Tyreke Hill will go to Miami and do the same thing he did in Kansas City?
Of course not. Because, like you said, Patrick Mahomes, he is one of, if not the best quarterback in the league right now.
Right.
But and you take a top tier wide receiver and put him together with an average QB, he's not going to perform the same way. So, he's still going to be good. Don't take that away from him. But he's not going to perform close to the level that he played in Kansas City.
You wouldn't think so. And that's just a personal opinion. I'm just throwing it out. It's food for thought. AP, Antonio Pierre on the Maurice Brown Show. Hey, what's up, P? Look, it's just a wild guess. It remains to be seen. Another big-time trade that went down in the NFL, Davante Adams leaving the Green Bay Packers to go out to the Los Angeles Raiders and play with Derek Carr, and he had some interesting comments to make at his press conference regarding the trade.
When a little bit of a door opened up where you could look beyond just Green Bay in your future, was it a kind of thing where you wanted to seize the moment and make sure it did happen, or did this just kind of happen as a pleasant surprise?
Well, it was a pleasant surprise because I found out kind of the same way you did. I wish it would have been a little bit more of a, official thing to where I could have at least, let my family and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. Just kind of went with the punches. But it was really an idea up until it was done because, it's never easy to make that happen. You see it in NBA.
I'm going to get this money. That's what that was about. I'm out.
Get where they want to be, any type of way they got to do it. But
I get it.
It was something that we.
I get it, Davante. I got you, bro.
It's crazy for the fans, for Fresno State, crazy for the Raider fans, all of California, and obviously the people that support us individually too. So
and sign that check, my man Davante. Yes, sir. Oh, my bad. Go ahead,
down
Davante.
the road, but obviously me playing in Green Bay, great situation, having greatest quarterback to play the game. That's a dream in itself. So. I'll never take anything away from anything Green Bay gave me or Aaron gave me. It was an amazing opportunity to work over there and do what I did for almost a decade. But things
now it's
change
time to get
sometimes.
your
It's
bread.
not the first time that a impactful player to an organization had to leave. And I feel like it worked out for both sides ultimately.
Well, not really. It didn't work out for both sides. It worked out for the Raiders, doggone it. Here's my question. Is losing Davante Adams as bad as losing Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Okay.
Because quarterbacks are what you build a franchise on. That's why they call it a franchise quarterback.
There it is, Stu. Okay.
I haven't heard of a franchise receiver, franchise running back. Those guys, you use them for as long as you use them, and they come and go. But you try to build your franchise over the quarterback, which is the most important position on the team. So it would definitely hurt Green Bay more to lose Aaron Rodgers than to lose Adams, because you may not find the exact same situation, but you can find someone who can put up that type of production or at least come close, or you may have a marriage with him and a tight end or something like that, where you're sharing the ball around a little more. But I think definitely Aaron Rodgers would be a bigger loss if you guys would have lost him.
Caleb, your opinion?
About the same as Stu said. I feel like someone as big as Aaron Rodgers, losing him would be almost irreplaceable. But Davante Adams, if they do get a good receiver or tight end in the draft, he can be kind of replaced, not to the same level, but close, and train him up and be the best he can be.
I'm going to say this, and you guys know I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, and I find this disgusting that we lost Davante Adams, and totally unacceptable. However, we have to move on. Davante Adams is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. What went wrong in Green Bay when they lost Davante Adams is my question. Stu, what do you think?
Now, you just brought up a great point from what you said earlier. Now, is Davante Adams, the best receiver in the league, or was he playing with one of the best quarterbacks in the league? That's the interesting point. We all know he can ball. We all know Adams can ball. We can't you can't dispute that.
Yeah.
But he did take advantage of playing with Aaron Rodgers, the guy who could throw it in tight windows the other quarterbacks can't. And they had the type of chemistry where, he didn't even have to look for the ball. It was just right. The ball placement and everything was right where it's supposed to be. If you're playing with another quarterback you don't have that chemistry with, that same play that you caught the ball may be an interception. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does, in his new situation. What was the original question?
Well, that Aaron Moore, by the way, says Green Bay should have moved on from Rodgers. It would have been the perfect time, and I, of course, I cannot agree with that. But
Adams.
Is losing Adams as bad as losing Aaron Rodgers? Was the original question.
Okay, of course not.
Yeah,
of course not. Aaron Rodgers is the franchise quarterback. We give Aaron some shade because of his performance in these playoff games and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, from a talent perspective, we know that Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is the heartbeat of the Packers. We know that. If you guys lose the Packers and you have to start all over, that would be devastating for the franchise.
it would be. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That means instant rebuild.
Yeah.
Now, Caleb, your opinion as far as what may have gone wrong with the Green Bay front office in not being able to re-sign Davante Adams.
Like, he didn't want to be franchise tagged. Like, at the beginning of, at the end of the season, there was a bunch of talk that he didn't want to be franchise tagged, and I guess he really didn't want to, so he moved on. He just got out of there.
Yeah, I like your response, Caleb, and I'm going to give you my skinny, and we're going to move on. I'm very disappointed. Number one, I'm glad we got number 12. Okay, I ain't even going to go there. I'm glad we got 12. But we needed number 17. And I think what happened in this situation was, unfortunately, a result of the Rodgers. Because if you recall, before they gave him his money, he said, take care of Davante Adams. He emphasized that. And then when they stepped up and paid, he calls him, I'm going to leave it alone. When they paid him, all of a sudden you didn't hear any more talk from Aaron. He's like, I'm happy to be a Packer. And you didn't hear him mention Davante Adams again. And then all of a sudden, Davante probably felt some kind of way because they were trying to franchise tag him, give him $17 or $18 million and say, hey, Tay, hold on till next year. We'll get you your money. And so something went really wrong in the front office with Green Bay's commitment to Davante Adams. It's like you have to be able to keep him somehow, some way, and make him believe that he is a very important and viable part of your franchise. And apparently, the Packers didn't get that done. And it's unfortunate.
I got one great point.
Yeah.
Now, to play back off of what you just said, this is not the first time that the Packers front office has messed up a situation like this.
No, it's
if
not.
If they can mess up a situation with Aaron Rodgers, the franchise quarterback, then I'm pretty sure that they can mess up a situation with a wide receiver to where he didn't feel valued and the communication wasn't the best, because when you guys drafted Love, Rodgers had no clue. So obviously there's some type of miscommunication going on there. And Adams even said himself, he stood on what he stood on, but he was like, I found out how you guys found out. It wasn't no official behind the scenes thing where I could tell my family and we could talk this through. It was kind of like, you say you don't want to be franchised, so the news is saying you're traded. You're like, oh, okay, So I think that organization needs to do a better job of taking care of their stars and communicating, at least doing everything they can in their power to keep that team together.
I would totally agree. And once again, they've dropped the ball in this particular case. You've left Aaron Rodgers with nothing. And we just lost Marcus Valdez Scantling the other day as well to the Chiefs. So good luck with that. We'll see. They're depending on the draft to replace these guys, and it's a receiver-laden draft coming up. But I'm not putting my trust in a rookie to replace solid veterans. We'll see what happens. I want to move on to the Los Angeles Rams. They got rid of Robert Woods, and he's with the Titans now. And now my question is, and you being a 49er fan, I'm sure that you have something to say about this. Have the Rams become overconfident in allowing Robert Woods to go to Tennessee for a 6th-round pick?
I don't think it's a thing of overconfidence. I just think at the end of the day, they pretty much bought a championship, meaning that they got all of these high-priced free agents and they're putting them together and they're not going to be able to keep them. Woods wasn't one of those guys, but, because of the contractual situations, they couldn't afford to pay him what he was due because a lot of receivers, depending on where they are in their contracts, are going to be demanding money because this is their time to get paid. With Tyreek's contract, with Adams' contract, all the receivers that are on that, coming up on their end of their contract are like, look, we want to get paid too. This is my time to get paid. So I think that, the Rams are playing musical chairs and trying to shuffle around their roster so that they can, compete again this year and try to repeat.
Caleb, your response?
Like he said, yeah, it's not overconfidence, but yeah, they're kind of like letting go of a bunch of important pieces, and they probably won't be able to get them back. And letting go of Robert Woods, not, and I don't know how to explain it, but he basically had I guess, connection to the Rams, and they just let him go like that for a 6th-round pick, which I don't think was worth it. And replacing him with Allen Robinson definitely wasn't worth it. So, I mean, so.
Totally agree, Caleb, and a very astute observation on your part. I think it was disrespectful to Robert Woods because, quite frankly and honestly, I think he was the best receiver on there and in their core. And he was out because of injury. You bring in Odell Beckham Jr., who was able to solidify that opening so they could get a ring. Well, OBJ's hurt now, and there's no guarantee he's going to be 100% when he comes back next year. And Allen Robinson is a possession receiver. He's not a game breaker. And so you're looking at the Rams, and it's kind of like, really? Unless there's some injury with Robert Woods that we don't know about, I thought that was pretty bad. Like, yo, you need Robert Woods. And I think my opinion is they're just a tad bit overconfident about their Super Bowl championship, but we'll see. Want to move on to Matt Ryan signing with the Indianapolis Colts. Does this make the Colts a contender, Stu?
It puts them in a better situation. Matt Ryan can play. He's not a scrub. He's not a bum. He's a little bit of, I would say, above average a little bit. He can ball. He can definitely put up some numbers. And with the Colts defense and running game, I think that's going to help him out big time. I don't think he's ever been on the team with that type of defense. He's had some pretty good, running backs with Freeman and Coleman and stuff like that. But this kid, Taylor, is that next level type of back. So I think this may be a situation where he doesn't have to do as much as far as stats and numbers and stuff like that. He can just not lose the game and make plays when they're there to be made. And they definitely should benefit more than what they were with Wentz.
Caleb, what do you got, buddy?
I don't think that it makes them a Super Bowl contender because, there's a lot of good teams out there. But, yes, it betters them by a lot because Carson Wentz was a meh kind of QB, but Matt Ryan is definitely an upgrade from him. And
I'll say this.
And since they have a defense that can hold their own and Jonathan Taylor, yeah, that makes them a pretty good team.
I'll say this. I think Matt Ryan was on a bad team in Atlanta. And I think he unfortunately had to play for several poor teams in Atlanta, and as a result, his production went down, his image went down, and you thought less of Matt Ryan. And we don't even think of Matt Ryan as an Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback as an elite QB any longer. However, I still think the magic is still there, and I think the Colts have everything he needs around him to go pretty far in the playoffs. He's certainly an answer to Carson Wentz. Commanders. He's an answer to Carson Wentz, and I think he's probably an extension or the very same thing that Phillip Rivers was when he was there, who barely missed getting them to a Super Bowl. So this could be a big year for the Colts. They just need a guy who can get the ball there, who won't make dumb mistakes. Carson Wentz. And so I just think Matt Ryan is a guy that could make a big difference for the Colts and maybe possibly get them deep in the playoffs. I don't see a Super Bowl team in the Colts. But I think they'll be very good. I think they'll go deep into the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But I think that was a great pickup. And we got, we got Mr. Pierre's. Aaron, Commanders will win the NFC East. Of course, Aaron, you would say that. Now, since we are on that subject, what's your opinion, Stu, of the Commanders with Carson Wentz this year in the NFC East?
It depends on what Carson Wentz wants to show up. If the Carson Wentz that when he first, got drafted by Philly shows up and he can continue that and stay healthy, I think the Commanders will be okay. If the Carson Wentz that we've seen lately show up, they're going to have some issues. Carson Wentz has to make better decisions. He has the talent. We all know that. He has the arm talent. He has the playmaking ability. But the decision-making has to be better. He has to take what the defense is giving him, and it's okay if you got to do a check down. You don't have to try to make a play to the point where you put your team in jeopardy from an interception or a sack or a strip fumble or anything like that. Sometimes you just got to read what you see, make a decision, be decisive, and move on. If he can do that, then, the Commanders have a better shot to compete for the NFC. If he can't do that, then we're going to see a lot of what we saw last year, because I think that he's coming from a better team in the Colts last year than what he is dealing with Washington this year. The Colts had a better offensive line. They had a better running back. They had a better defense. And he still couldn't get in the playoffs, and they lost to all he had to do was beat Jacksonville Jaguars, who were horrible, and they couldn't get it done. So with that said, if he can improve on his decision-making skills and being decisive with the football, they may be okay. But if he can't, it's going to be a long season for those Commanders.
Caleb, your thoughts?
I feel like the Commanders, they're not a bad team, but if their quarterback can make the plays and actually get the ball down the field for once and not screw up every drive.
Yes.
So and I feel like Carson Wentz has the ability to do that, but sometimes he just doesn't show up. And if he does do a better job than he did this season, next season, yeah, the Commanders will be a decent team. Not maybe make it past wild card, but definitely no Super Bowl for them.
No, we're not talking about this. There's some bowls I could think of, but it's not the Super. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. Okay, I think based on the way the Washington Commanders are constructed, the only thing they are missing is a veteran quarterback who can make the throws, who's seen difficult situations, been in the league for a while, and will have no problem stepping into situations that a young quarterback like Heineke was unable to step into, or a Kyle Allen unable to step into, able to make the throws, not enough NFL experience. So all that being said, Carson Wentz is in a perfect position to take the Commanders deep into the playoffs. Will he do that? I doubt it. But I would not be shocked if Carson Wentz had a good year and the Commanders became a threat. But that's about as much as I'll give them because I just don't see a Super Bowl, of course. But I think they can have a really good year if Carson Wentz can come in there and just run the team. He doesn't have to be the star. He didn't have to be the star in Indianapolis. That was Frank Reich's fault for not giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor. And he kept putting the ball in Carson Wentz's hands for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I'm putting a little bit of that on Frank Reich. So if Riverboat Ron can take that running game that the Commanders have, which is pretty good, young man just needs to hold on to the ball a little bit more. What's the young fella's name, Stu?
Taylor.
He needs to hold on to the ball a little bit more.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the Colts.
You're thinking about the Colts.
I don't know who their running back is and why.
So, Aaron, type it in if you can. But the bottom line is he's a pretty decent back. Just got to hold on to the ball a little bit more. They've got receivers. They've got a very good defense. Riverboat Ron needs to tell Carson, hey, Carson, come here. Come here. All that superstar stuff and everything, forget all that, okay, buddy? What I want you to do is take the keys to this Lamborghini, and I just want you to drive it, okay, pal? Pretend you're in college. You remember when you were at North Dakota State? You're not there anymore. This is the NFL. Just drive the car. All right, pal? Go get him. That's all he's got to do. If he goes out there and does that, the Commanders might be a pretty decent ball club this year. There is an upside. You got a 50-50 chance with Carson Wentz. Will he listen to sound, logical, offensive schooling? Don't know.
Gibson is his name.
What's that?
Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson. Okay. So he's a pretty decent back. He fumbles the ball a little bit too much. Yeah. But outside of that, not bad at all. Let's go over to the AFC and talk about Baker Mayfield. What happens next with Baker Mayfield? Is he a starter? Is he a backup for somebody? What is Baker now? How do we view him?
He's definitely a starter. As far we got 32 teams, I think he's in the position to be a starter. It's just not there anymore. Now that they have Deshaun Watson, so I was thinking that Pittsburgh may be a good move for him for at least a year. They can just give him a 1-year contract until they figure out their quarterback situation long term. But I don't know, man. He definitely needs to get out of where he's at because it's too much going on. You get replaced and you're still thinking you're the guy and you're not the guy anymore. So hopefully for him, there are some quarterback needy teams out there still. And, you got the Saints, you got Pittsburgh and a couple other teams that I think that he might be a good fit as far as for a year or two until they figure out their long-term situation.
Caleb, what are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield?
I think he'd be decent in Pittsburgh, but I feel like he's not what he was made up to be. First round, wasn't he like a number 1 overall pick?
Yes.
Yeah, that was not worth it. So, I mean, he one of the teams, like maybe the Giants or some team that's in need of a quarterback would use him, but if a team has an average or above average quarterback, he's definitely not in the spot to take over.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, and I don't want to be mean here, but I got to call it like I see it as a football fan who sits on the couch eating Doritos and queso dip, which makes me an expert, by the way. Let me just say this. Baker Mayfield, to me, is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I've seen him for 3 years. I hate to say this, but I'm just based on what I've seen. He's not a starter. He's a good backup quarterback. He's a good starter for a young quarterback that you intend to give the ball to later on in the season or the following year. Baker Mayfield is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't have the tools. He doesn't make the throws. He's not decisive. And he's not a very popular guy with his teammates, which is the most important thing for a quarterback. Unless you're Aaron Rodgers or Dan Marino or Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. It's like, well, Tom, whatever you say, pal, I'm with you. I mean, unless you're one of those guys, you need to get along with your teammates. And couldn't get along with Odell Beckham Jr., who went on and got a Super Bowl ring. And the Cleveland Browns didn't even make the playoffs. So I just don't know what to say about Baker, but he's done in Cleveland. There's no doubt about it. They just picked up Jacoby Brissett. That means Baker goes to third string. Because I'm putting Jacoby in front of him. You got Deshaun Watson and Jacoby. The Cleveland Browns, all of a sudden, as we talk about Baker Mayfield and what happens to him next, I would tell you right now, how will Deshaun Watson impact the Cleveland Browns? Are they instant contenders now, Stu?
Most definitely. Deshaun is a generational talent. And adding him to that team with that running game and that defense, I definitely think that they have a shot to, get in the mix. The AFC is tough. It's a lot of good teams, a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC he's going to be competing against. But I think that he's in the best situation that he possibly could be in as far as with the running game and the defense. And just getting out of the funk that he was in last year and being able to play and just being free and clear of that, having the biggest contract ever with $230 million fully guaranteed. I think now it's like, all right, Deshaun, we all see the talent now. Let's put some wins together and see what he can, make a drive with this.
Caleb, what's your opinion of Deshaun Watson's impact in Cleveland?
Cleveland has always been a good team, but like you guys are saying, they've always been a good team, but they didn't really get a good quarterback out of Baker Mayfield. So now that they do have someone like Deshaun Watson, they have a very good chance of making it pretty far into the playoffs.
I'm going to say this about Cleveland. Here comes another really wild statement that I'm about to make, but I'm going to throw it out there. Barring the NFL suspending Deshaun Watson for however long, like 6 or 7 games, a ton of games, barring any other unforeseen negative circumstances that may come upon Deshaun Watson based on the debacle in Houston, I'm not even going to get into that. I think it's totally ridiculous, the charges. Anyway, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, when healthy, best running back tandem in the NFL. Okay? They don't have Jarvis Landry any longer, and of course they don't have OBJ, but they have a good receiving core, and they have a very good offensive line. Defense, top 5 in the NFL. Deshaun Watson is a baller. And he didn't have that much help in Houston. I mean, that was kind of like Deshaun Watson's show in Houston. He had a little bit of help. They weren't totally bereft of talent. He didn't have some things that he needed. And I think in Cleveland, he's got everything. He got everything. Like I said, I don't know how they're going to do the receiving core deal because they've lost key guys. But I think the receivers they have are pretty good, and they've got to. I think the Cleveland Browns are on track to go to the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Their first Super Bowl.
It's a big statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
I now understand. I'm saying, as long as nothing, goofy happens. Okay, like him an 8-game suspension or some garbage like that because of the dumb stuff that happened down in wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. I don't. So here's the deal: barring something goofy, Super Bowl, Cleveland.
Ooh.
I got
That's
him going
gonna be
to Super Bowl.
tough.
Yeah, I got him going. Deshaun Watson is a baller, dude. He just needs help in certain play, and I think he's got more than he did when he was in Houston because he always but short had to do everything. He literally had to do everything. So anyway,
I don't
we'll
know
see what
about
happens.
that, man.
Okay.
The only reason I'm saying that is because we all know that he may not have had a running game like that in Houston, but Hopkins and company, he had the receivers. He had arguably one of the best
No,
receivers in the league for quite some time.
well, he
And the
did.
defense wasn't shabby either with when JJ was in his prime and the weapons they had around the defense. They were competing in the playoffs and stuff. They had a good team, but I agree with you as far as this overall being a better situation. The only thing that we have to watch as far as the chemistry he has to build with the receivers and learning a new offense and the things that come with that. But other than that, it's going to get interesting.
Well, look, guys, we're coming down the home stretch of the show here, and I want to get your off-season top 5 AFC and NFC teams, and we'll start with you, Stu. Who do you have, buddy?
Off-season top 5. Let me see. We gotta definitely go with Cleveland. Being one in the AFC. We're gonna go with Denver. They've been making a lot of good moves.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw Oakland in there, number 3 for the
Okay,
AFC.
it's a good pick. Very good pick.
They've been doing some things. Let me see. I haven't heard too much about the Patriots. Not gonna say the Chiefs because they definitely took a L.
Oh, you don't have them in the top 5. You got Tyreke Hill affecting them that much.
Right.
Wow.
I haven't really heard too much about the Chargers, but they're just so solid,
Well, they got Khalil Mack from the
Yeah.
Bears.
That's right. That was a huge pickup for them,
Yes, it was.
having Mack and then Boats on the other side. That's going to be crazy.
It will be.
Let's see. What did Cincinnati do? Did they shore up that O-line?
Not up to this point, they have not. And of course, we've got the draft and we've got things. But up to this point, there's been no talk of an upgrade to their line.
I think they got one O lineman.
They did?
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, do you know who they picked up?
No, I didn't see his name. I just saw on the news that.
So what I'm really meant to say is there's been no talk of a significant upgrade to their line.
Let's add Miami in there for the AFC too.
Okay. Oh, really? Because of Tyreke Hill?
Yeah, I mean, they putting together some weapons. So at the end of the day, Tua has no excuses.
Who's their coach now? Because Brian is gone. Who's the coach?
I think Ronald McDonald. He took a break from
Ronald
making
McDonald and
hamburgers.
5 wins. They're not winning no more. Anyway, so I don't know. Okay, so what do you have in the NFC, Stu?
NFC's been kind of quiet. AFC's been making all the moves. Let's see. We gotta say the football team. I mean, yeah, they've been trying to, I guess, do something. I mean, I'm sorry, the Commanders. Bucks, of course, with Brady coming back, that's huge. Help me out, guys. The 49ers, we really haven't been doing much. We got a cornerback. I'm waiting to see what happens with Jimmy. We need to find a trade. Lynch kind of already came out and said that we're not cutting him. So if he's playing for another team, it's either going to be via trade. So which makes sense. You want to get something for him.
Yeah.
I would have to say, I wouldn't say Atlanta. They just lost their quarterback. Philly's been kind of quiet. Let's see. I haven't heard too much about Minnesota.
Okay. Wait a minute. We got somebody ready to defend the Commanders. Aaron, what up, man? Talk to us, bro.
What's going on, fellas? I was
Go ahead
riding
on, defend, Aaron. Go ahead, bro.
Them Commanders.
smoke was coming from my ears, man. Y'all doing my
Okay,
Commanders dirty.
hey, Aaron, go talk to us. What you got? What you got for the Commanders?
They will win the NFC East.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness.
Hands down. I'm gonna tell you why right now.
Okay.
First of all, Dallas is getting worse. Two of their offensive linemen are gone. Top offensive line. One of their receivers were gone. You can call him a number 2 if you want. He's gone. Who they bring in? Their defense is getting worse. Their top D lineman is in Denver now. They're not better. The Eagles are the Eagles. They up and down. I mean, they don't scare me. Jalen Hurts doesn't scare me.
Okay.
Their defense doesn't scare me. The Giants are going to be last in the NFC East.
Oh yeah. No question about that. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. I think I just heard a toilet flush. Yeah, that's the Giants going down. Anyway, my bad. Go ahead, Aaron. Yeah.
Nobody's worried about the Giants.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is in a perfect situation. This is the first time that he's ever had an 1,000-yard receiver and 1,000-yard rusher on the same team. If you go back and look at his Phillies days, his top receiver was Ertz. He never had a receiver.
Yeah.
And he got a decent tight end in Logan.
Yeah.
Not only
Well,
do we have
I'm going to go ahead.
Curtis Samuel,
Yeah.
we win the
Okay.
NFC.
Let me say this, Aaron. I don't know. I don't know if you caught the end of my commentary about the Commanders about 10 minutes ago, but what I did say is that the Commanders are set up for a quarterback who's got experience and who can make all the throws. And that is Carson Wentz.
Yes,
he's got
that
the
is Carson.
experience and he can make all the throws. They don't need him to be a world beater because they have talent on defense. They can run the ball. Your man Turner needs to hold on to that ball a little bit more. They have receivers, and if Wentz goes out there and just does his job by dealing with tough situations and making the throws, that not being a superstar, just make the throws that you need to make and keep the team, the offense moving down the field, and that's all they need. And that's the one thing the Commanders have not had in the past couple of years. So I could see them doing really, really well this year. But it all depends on the psyche of Carson Wentz.
And I think he's okay because in his press conference, he missing the exact same thing that you say in his press conference. He said he just has to control the offense. And him and Scott Turner already talked.
Yeah.
That don't try to be the superhero and make the plays that are there. So he already knows what to do.
Yeah.
It's the fact of him doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of been Carson Wentz's, it's not, the guy's had a weird career. And as I still don't know what to think of Carson because last year a lot of people don't realize he had a really good year. He just made huge mistakes in huge moments. But overall, he had a good year. And I just think the potential's high for Carson, but he's still yet to prove that he can get through an entire NFL season and into the playoffs and show what he can do. But I think he has the ability to get the Commanders there. I'm not going to write the Commanders off. I think because they have Wentz, they have a good shot. I'll give them that. I'll give them that for sure. And let me say this. With that. But I do want to say real quick before we get off. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Maurice Brown Show Sports Dish. Antoine, Stewart, and Liz, and also to defend the Commanders, which he's done a great job of doing. If you have enjoyed watching this show, like and share it, and subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy channel, as well as any social media engine that Antoine Real Stewart is a part of, or Caleb Lopez is a part of, or Aaron Moore, who is also a photographer. How can fans follow you on social media, Aaron?
Oh, you can follow me at Instagram at Aaron Moore Photography.
All right. And Stu, you as well. You guys have a podcast that you're doing.
Yes, sir. You can follow us on YouTube or Facebook at Real Talk Convo.
And Caleb, you're too young for that right now.
Yeah, now you're
It's okay. It's all right, Caleb. I'm going to pump you up. Caleb, my nephew from Port St. Lucie, Florida, is a middle school football player. And Caleb, you're going into the 8th grade, correct?
7th.
Oh, man. Okay, 7th grade. And you'll be back on the football gridiron next year playing for your middle school team. And I'm going to be following you for sure. What position do you want to play this year, Caleb?
I played linebacker last season. I'm trying to probably play linebacker or corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He held it
Defense.
down last year, guys. Caleb loves to hit. He was their starting middle linebacker and the starting center. Went both ways, started every game, and they went to the championship game. They came up a little short in the championship game, but he's a baller. Caleb's a young baller, no question about that. And I also want to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming in at the end of the show, hey, don't worry about it, because tomorrow about midday on the Creative Motion Network, you can watch the whole thing again on Roku TV, so it's all good. And so, Aaron, check us out. We're going to do the NBA edition of the Maurice Brown Show coming up on Thursday at 8:30. You're going to have to change. Is Thursday good for you, Aaron?
Yes, sir.
So we'll do that Thursday. We're going to talk about all the latest haps in the NBA. So until then, everybody stay safe, stay COVID-19 free, and may the peace of Jesus Christ be with you and your families. God bless you.